So, another episode in English is finally here, and music is off, and I have really special guest, Jonathan Stagg. Hello.
Great to be here, Eagle. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. I am really happy that we met again. When we last see each other?
I guess it would be 2017, wouldn't it? In
17 Slovakia.
Yeah.
You were a part of a really successful team,
Yeah.
Australian team, and you finished, your team finished fifth?
Fifth, yeah, I think it was fifth, yeah.
So
no, we did really well in that competition. It was a great result for us, yeah.
And you finished on which place?
I think I was 19th in the end, I finished, yeah.
Great.
I had a really bad start in that competition. I had a difficult beat on the pop rud, I think it was, and then I finished really well. I had three great sessions to finish, and I climbed back up the leaderboard. So yeah, I ended up in the top 20, which was a nice result in the end, considering I had a tough start.
I mean, this is in new era kind of the best result, is it? For Australian team, I mean.
Yes, yeah, that was a really good result. I mean, of all the world championships that I've fished in, that was my best result as a team. Yeah.
Okay. And now when we are, which place we are?
We're in my home, Tasmania, and it's
Yeah.
great to see you here in my state, in my country.
I am stoked. It's fantastic. It was my biggest dream to come here, and we are just now in how you pronounce correctly,
Maina.
Maina.
We're in Maina at Great Lake in the Central Highlands of Tasmania. Yeah.
So it's great to be here, and the fishing is really tough here. It's not
It has
so
been
easy.
for us. It has. Yeah. I mean, the weather's been really difficult for us in the last day or so, and once again today we're going to have very windy, cold conditions for the middle of summer. But I mean, it is renowned for being quite a difficult fishery. Our fish aren't that easy to catch, and so when the weather doesn't cooperate, it makes things even tougher.
Yeah, and I mean this is because of weather and also because the fish are totally natural.
Completely wild.
Yeah, wild.
Well, the majority of even our fish, our lakes that get stocked are stocked with wild fish, so they're transported from our wild stocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, generally there's very few stocked fish anywhere. It's a wild fishery, and our brown trout are pretty well educated too, in a lot of ways.
Okay, so and you are, can I say, a native Tassie?
Yes, born and bred in Tasmania, yes.
So, and you live in Launceston?
I live just outside Launceston, yes.
And it's true what they say, I mean, people from mainland about Tassies, that they have...
No. There's a bit of a saying that Tasmanians have two heads. But look, we just take it on board and ignore their sayings. But yeah.
So is there any fight between mainland people and Tassies?
Look, Tassies, I think the Tasmanians are very loyal to their state. We love Tasmania, and it's a very special place. But the mainlanders, they seem to just have this bit of a stir. They stir and joke with the Tasmanians a little bit. That we've got two heads and we're not quite as smart as all the rest of them on the mainland, and we live in our little island down the bottom of Australia. So yeah, it's an ongoing joke.
But this is a really nice piece of earth, I think.
It is. It's a special place. It really is.
So, and when you are born and raised in Tasmania, I think you start fishing here.
Yes.
So, and what was your first mentor who teach you?
Yeah, so my father's a fisherman and always was a fisherman. From very early days, I grew up in a place where we're actually going fishing today. So where I'm taking you today is actually where I grew up for the first 10 years of my life. So I fished on the Meander River, and I grew up in Meander, the town of Meander. And so I had a river basically running within 100 metres of my house, a really nice stream, and I remember fishing that with my pop, my grandfather, and my dad, fishing with little grasshoppers and things like that in that river.
And the grasshoppers are tied or
No.
leaf?
With natural, with natural grasshoppers and bait, if you like. Just as a child, and but
Continue.
my father also had. We had a place at a lake called Lake Leak, which we always had it for my whole life, and he still has it now. And so I remember trips to Lake Leak and watching my father fly fish. So that's where I first saw fly fishing.
And in age?
I was only a child, so only 5 or 6 years old. Where
so small, yeah.
When he'd take me out and we'd go ashore on the other side of the lake where it was calm, and I remember evenings there where he'd put me on the shore and he'd light me a fire, and I'd sit by the fire, and my dad would go out and try and catch some fish, fly fishing, and I was always fascinated to watch him fish just of a nice calm evening and fish rising and things like that. So I always remember that, and I think that was the thing that fascinated me. And then, unfortunately, my parents separated when I was about 9 years old.
Okay.
And so I went with my mother, and my father stayed out at where we lived. So I didn't have a lot to do with my father for a number of years through that, 9 through to about 12 or 13. And I always fished though. I kept fishing, but I was spin fishing and things like that. So we moved to another place in Tasmania out near Longford. And so I was fishing in the rivers around that with spinning gear, and but I had this desire to start fly fishing because I guess in hindsight I probably saw it as a way of trying to spend some time with my dad.
Okay.
And so it was something that he had an interest in, and I thought if I start fly fishing, I can probably go fishing with my dad, Okay. And so I started trying to learn to cast, and I just really learnt from watching videos and old videos from Lefty Cray and all these American Mel Krieger and all these sort of.
But it must be VHS.
VHS. Yeah, exactly.
In that time,
right.
I think no YouTube.
Yeah, so I was about 11 years old when I actually started trying to learn how to fly fish, and with VHS videos and out in the backyard in the park next to where I lived, just casting, and sort of taught myself to cast, I guess, through that period. And then I ended up going on a camp with one of the very well-known guides who sort of started guiding here in Tasmania, and his name was Noel Jetson. And I was only about 13 years old, and he had a camp up in the Highlands teaching people to fly fish.
Okay.
And I remember going to that, and I learned a lot from that, and he sort of took me under his wings. Here I was, this little 13-year-old kid, and he really took a liking to me, and he had a shop just up the road in another town at Cressy. And so I'd drop in and see him, and he'd help me out and point me in the right direction as a kid. So, yeah.
So in this camp, it was for how long? Days?
It was
weeks?
over a weekend. It was like
just weekend.
2 or 3 days, I think it was, yeah.
And how many people?
There would have been 10 to 15 people there, I guess. Yeah, there was quite a few people there.
And just one teacher, just one mentor?
Yes, there was him, and he had 2 other helpers there sort of helping as well. Yeah. So.
Yeah, just asking because we are doing the same with Luboš.
Yes.
So I'm asking how it was managed.
So this is, at the time, this guy, Noel Jetson, and he's very well known in Tasmania from that period. He was a bit of a legend. Mm-hmm. He was one of the very first guides to start guiding people in Tasmania. And he had this tiny little shop in Cressy, which everyone that headed up the Highlands to go fishing would often drop in and see Noel Jetson and grab some flies. He used to tie flies professionally and sell them, and he was just a wealth of knowledge, very, very good angler, and just a lovely guy as well. And so I didn't, I remember calling in there, and he sort of just helped me out a bit. I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but that camp really opened my eyes as to how much I really loved fly fishing, and that I wanted to keep doing this.
So he was for your fly fishing maybe in the start more important than father?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot to do with my dad through those periods, and I certainly didn't get a lot of teaching from my dad. So I didn't really start to fish with him as far as fly fishing until probably I was 14 or 15.
Okay.
And then I started to spend more time with my dad again, which was great.
So, and was father surprised that you are quite good?
Yeah, I think he was, because I remember the first few times I went with him, I was straight away catching more fish than my dad on the fly. So it was interesting times, yeah. But like my father's never been a great fly fisherman.
Yeah.
He's always had certain types of fishing that he likes, being dry fly and just catching fish that he can see. And so he's always been that type, and he's never been a star fisherman, but he absolutely loves it. Yeah.
So it wasn't about numbers, it was about feelings. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So, and you say tying flies, the big part of fly fishing is tying flies.
Yeah.
And who taught you this part?
Well, once again, I started tying quite early. I would have only been 12, something like that. Very soon after I started, I tried tying, and once again I learnt to tie from watching videos. Just watching VHS videos, watching VHS, and I'd be rewinding them. I'd be sitting in front of the television, like with a bench set up, and I'd see something and I'd rewind it and play again and go over it. And I spent hours just watching VHS videos of once again the Americans.
Legend, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of who some of the names were from that I used to watch, but what's his name, Borgia? Is it Gary Borgia and these sort of guys, that used to have those videos, and I'd watch them and learnt tying things like Quill Gordons and all those old type of flies, but then you adjust them and ended up tying flies, like red tags, which are our fly back then. That was the fly that everyone wanted to use. So
it's the fly all the time.
Yeah, just gradually learnt techniques and got better at it with practice.
It's so easy now with YouTube, isn't it?
That's right. It is. It's crazy. The information that people have these days.
But always I am saying that this is sometimes too much information, because there are not many good videos, and you have to dig really deep.
Yeah.
When you want to find some nice
one.
Nice
there's a lot of trash out there, isn't there? Really, but.
Okay, so you are a fisherman. You beat your father, so good, well done. And how it started with your career as a sportsman? Do you do another sport? Because here is famous rugby, cricket.
Yeah, I played a lot of sport as a kid, and I played. I used to enjoy cricket until I got to around 16 years old.
So, and you've been bowler?
Both, bowler, batsman a bit, but yeah.
I try to understand rules. It's quite complicated.
I enjoyed cricket through that period, but once I started fly fishing, I found that because cricket takes up a lot of time, and it's always of a weekend. So Saturdays, when you're a cricket player, you end up basically having to give your day up on a Saturday to play cricket all day. So I struggled with that because I wanted to go fishing. So it didn't last too long with the cricket, but I played a lot of basketball and volleyball. I got right into volleyball through, when I was around that 16, 17-year-old, and actually played quite high-level volleyball, state level volleyball. So a bit taller, and I could jump pretty well. So it was a good sport that I enjoyed, yeah.
So, and you quit all sports for fly fishing? For fly fishing competition?
No, I played... No, I didn't. I continued to play volleyball and basketball till I was nearly 30.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'd play during the week and stuff like that, so it didn't affect my fishing so much. Okay. But no, I played basketball and volleyball for.
Actually, when I look at you, you look like a volleyball player.
Yeah. So I played quite a lot of that for a long time. Yeah.
Okay. So, and competition, fly fishing?
So competition fly fishing, I was one of the very early people to start because I think the first state competitions that we had, I was one of the very early guys that started fishing in those. So I was only about 16 when I started fishing competitions, and the first ever competition that I went in, I didn't catch a fish. Did not catch a fish for the whole competition. Back then, it was very, very tough to get fish, in competition. And I think the first two competitions I fished, I just didn't catch a fish at all. So it was very
big lesson.
Very tough, very tough. But so they were the early days. When some of our early competitions, if you caught one fish in every session, you win the comp.
Yeah.
That's how difficult it was.
How it was? It was on the lakes or on the rivers?
It was only on the lakes.
Only on the lakes?
Those early ones were always on the lakes.
Always on the lakes, and always on the boats or wading?
Boats and on the shore. So they mainly in boats there for the first few, and then they started putting beats along shores, and we had some shore sessions.
And how it was with controllers on boat? You are two, so you may control to each other.
Yes.
But on the shore,
you'd have a controller.
You have a controller.
Yeah. Yes.
Designated or
Designated.
another competitor.
No, designated. Those early years, it was always a designated one. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they slowly developed into different things, over the years in different ways of running the competitions. But
good.
They used to have controllers back then. Yeah. Now, in the competitions, they
is a controller another competitor.
Sometimes.
So you still have designated.
In our national competitions, they'll have designated controllers generally.
Good.
But in a lot of our state level competitions, we rotate and control each other. So yeah.
So you started in 16, first two competition blank. So it doesn't discourage you to continue?
No, well, I kept going. I did keep going. So I think what really changed my competition fishing was meeting a particular person who ended up being a real mentor to me. So I was about 18 or something like that, and I went in a competition and I met a guy called Jim Davis. And he was a bit of a legend. People knew him as a really good angler. And he came to this competition and he was in my group. And so I'd heard about him and I'd seen him before, but he was a guy that I really wanted to... There's a bird on my roof.
Some bird on the roof.
So he was a guy that I really wanted to meet and to, maybe I could learn some stuff from this guy. Anyway, he was in my group and believe it or not, I was drawn in the boat with him in the first session. So Fantastic. I was really excited about that. And he took a liking to me straight away. He was one of those guys that young kids, he was really interested in helping them. Yeah. And so straight up we went out and there was some fish moving. He told me what fly to use. No, don't use that, mate. Put this on, And I ended up catching a couple of fish. He caught a couple of fish and it was great. And then, as that competition went on, we walked the shores together from beat to beat when we went. And anyway, I ended up going quite well in that competition, finished top 10 in the comp, and he came second, I think, in the comp, and it just started to, he offered to go fishing with me. And so I met with him, in a couple of weeks' time, and we just fished pleasure fishing on Arthur's Lake, I think it was. And
so he's also Tassie.
He's from Tasmania, yeah.
And the distances are here incredible. It's really far everywhere. So you were lucky that he was from the part when you live, or?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't at all. He lived at the other end of the state. But
so how you get there?
Well, I drove up and met him up in the Highlands here, and then we went fishing. So, we met at Arthur's Lake at the boat ramp, and off we went fishing together. But
so, and at that time you were over 18, so
I was
you
about
had
18.
A car
I could drive.
Okay.
Yeah. And so our friendship started to develop from there. We both made our state team to go and fish in the nationals, and the nationals was in New South Wales at Lake Jindabyne, and he didn't have anyone to go with, so we travelled over there together and we stayed together for that nationals, and our friendship just got stronger from there, and we started fishing together regularly, and he was a great angler, a really, really great angler, and he taught me so much, and he was really my mentor through that period. We fished together, we worked on competition techniques together, and it was just great. He had a shack up at D Lagoon in the Highlands, so I spent a lot of time there, and we did so many different trips.
And nationals, which type of nationals do you have? You have lakes and rivers, I think.
Yes.
And this is competition for team or for individuals?
No, it's still an individual competition.
You don't have a team?
We still have teams, like we have state, a team that we fish as a state.
But there is no medal for teams?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. There is?
Yeah, so for the Tasmanian team, Victoria, New South Wales, that we do have medals for teams, yeah.
Okay.
And they've done it different ways over the years, how they work out the teams, and how it's selected for the nationals so that the team can actually win. But I'm not quite sure how they do it at the moment because I haven't fished a few lately. But so it's changed over the years a little bit.
So another mentor, and in that time, did you meet some guys who fished later with you in national teams?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I fished with
who?
Well, many different anglers, but Jim himself, I fished with him. He made a world team with myself, and so I had a couple of trips with him in the team as my teammate, which were great. So we made a team way back when I was only 21. Was my first world championships that I went to when I was in Poland in 1998. That was my first ever world.
98?
98. Long time ago.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was only 21 at the time. I think, one of the, or certainly at the time.
It's quarter century.
Yeah, I know. I've been at it a long time. It's scary. So yeah, he was in that team with me, and we also went to France in 2002 or something like that. It was together. So, but there's many anglers that I've fished with, over the years. Guys that people would know, Craig Coltman.
He's from here, isn't it?
No, he's from Victoria, but he has a place here, so he spends a lot of time here. Royce Baxter and these sort of guys that,
nice guy.
And people that, even Jason Garrett, who just passed away just recently. He was our captain on a few of the world teams that I've been in, and he was a great man who I had a lot of respect for, a lot of time for. So it was really sad to hear of his passing just the other week. So, yeah.
So in 1998, Poland first. 2017, Slovakia. Your last one. I think.
2019 here was my last.
Yes,
one.
sorry.
Yeah.
Your home waters.
Yeah, that's right.
So, can you count how many watches did you join?
I think I've been actually fished in 11 world champs.
11.
Yeah, I think I've fished in 11. There's a number that I could have gone to that I chose to not go in.
Why? Because expenses?
Yeah, just expenses and family and.
So when we are about expenses, how it is here in Australia, you have to pay everything, or you got some money?
There's times when it's we've had some sponsorship or we've raised money to go away, and there's other times where it's cost a lot, depending on the year and the sort of sponsorship that we can get. So I was really big on trying to raise some money for the team. So we did we regularly used to do some corporate guiding weekends. So some people, corporate type people would come over. And
I don't understand corporate.
Corporate, so business type people that, business type people that enjoy some fishing, and our team would basically take them fishing and guide them and try and get them onto some fishing, give them a really good weekend, and they'd
ask for money.
They'd pay the privilege of doing that, and that was a really good fundraising way of doing things. And we also did some auctions. So
Auctions for flies or for boxes of
all
flies?
types of things, you know. So we'd go to different, we'd have a big auction night and a blazer presentation, like for the Australian blazer. Would present that to the team members, and then people would come and
Do you sell Akubra?
yeah, and then we'd have all different prizes that people would donate. It could be, you know, accommodation somewhere for a fishing trip, or it could be a heap of flies, it could be rods, it could be this and that. And that was another great way of raising money. And we raised a lot of money. For certain teams, we raised a lot of money, which was great.
And can you, because the prices are really high, so how much costs, for example, if you're going to, I don't know, Slovakia?
I would expect that.
Maybe it's not great information for wives, yeah?
No, don't worry. My wife knows how much.
Yeah, I mean, but you're a fellow in a team.
Future ones, yeah. Look, I think it'd be around anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to go on fishing. There's a lot of them are up around these days. It'd have to be 10,000 for sure.
Yeah, 10,000. But my another question is. How much you raised?
Yeah, there's times where we raised a good percentage of that money, and it only cost us, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 each to go, which was great. And there was times when it hardly cost me anything, because we had some really good. We raised a lot of money. So then there was others.
For me, it's kind of inspirational because I'm manager of our national team. So we are really lucky because we got money from our fishing union. So it's great and the biggest sponsor for us, but we are looking also for alternative ways how to get money.
No, look, it was really good, and it was a lot of work at times. You know, there was a few of us put a lot of work into trying to do it, but I thought it was really important, not just that we raised some money so it didn't cost everyone so much money, because it's hard, you know, you can't do it all the time like that.
You are representing your country and you have to pay it.
Exactly right. And it was a big thing for me, because it was like, you know, here I am I'm representing my country, and you got to fork every bit of money out. And some people have different views on it, but for me it was like, it's ridiculous.
So, and there is no such a sponsorship from I don't, inland fisheries or mainland fisheries?
No, you don't. I mean, Fly Fish Australia, our organisation, our competition organisation, they give each team member some money, but it's really only like $1,000 or something like that towards it. So, and that's all they can afford, because we don't make heaps of money as an organisation. But
in Australia, is no such a fishing union for whole Australia?
No,
because in our country it works like this, that we have organization for all fishermen, and they paid, and we got small amount of money for just sports.
Yes.
Different kind of fly fishing, spinning, also carp fishing. So, and we get money, and it's covered everything.
Yeah.
It's
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. So.
But the auction is a great way.
Yeah. So that's been the only real successful way, I think, of sometimes there's some sponsorship that people will give you as organisations like tackle places, but it's not cash. They won't give you money. They'll give you equipment or
things,
something like that. Yeah. And
things doesn't pay anything.
Exactly right. So it's always been challenging, but there's ways you can do it, and I think like giving business type people an opportunity to come and fish with, you know, competition grade anglers worked really well, and they loved it, and I've made a lot of great friends from doing that I fish with now and catch up with every year from those events that we did, you know. Now I call them really great friends, some of these people, so it's really good.
I have the same feeling when I am enjoying some boat jumps.
Yes.
Because I made friends also.
Exactly.
And this is why I'm here.
Exactly right. You know, so many friends, there's so many people that I've met over there.
Okay, you said that 11 world champs you joined, so it's really incredible number. And if you can pick 2, 3, which stays really in your mind, in your memories, which it will be? Which one?
Which ones? Poland, 2010.
2010.
On the San River.
Pavel won.
Sorry?
Our Pavel.
He did.
Won.
He did.
And Thomas was second. I think.
So that river itself, for me, I'd read a lot about it, and it was a place that I really wanted to go and fish. So I went to Poland in my first ever World Championships. So that was on the, I'm not sure how you say it exactly,
Dunajec.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was on that river. And that was back another one of your Czech people, Thomas
Starifojt, yeah.
He won that. It seems to be a common thing, the Czechs winning in Poland, doesn't it? So, yeah. But anyway, so when I was there, I didn't get to fish the San River, and it was always, and I'd read a lot about it from, I used to follow Jeremy Lucas from England, who used to travel over there a fair bit, and he used to write a lot about it. It just fascinated me, these big blue-winged olive mayfly hatches on the Sun, and
Grayling,
I thought I'd love grayling, lots and lots of grayling and all this, you know. So I was really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, the river was in flood the majority of the time when we were there, so we didn't really see anywhere near the best of this river. But we still enjoyed some really good fishing and a great time while we were there. You know, in the place where we stayed, and so it was really good. It was a good competition for me. It was my first competition when I really had a good result, and like a really good individual result. And I was pushing all the way for potentially a medal in that comp individually. So it was a special comp. I had some really great sessions, and you know, I was that close at the end to getting an individual medal. It just didn't quite work out that way. So that was a really special one for me. Some others that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed when I was in France. That was a really great place. Crystal clear rivers. I like that type of fishing. You know, finicky, clear, difficult fish. So I enjoyed that. Although grayling in France were really difficult, we found them really hard to catch.
Yeah.
And then Norway in I think 2013.
Czechs won.
That was really difficult water, but once again I had quite a good run in that one until the last session where I went to the Fipling and there was just no fish in the river. It's pretty hard to catch them, but I was in the running there again and it just didn't fall my way, which seems to be
but it's same like in Tassie because it's wild fish.
Yeah.
And they are moving.
Yeah, so but and then Slovakia, I think that 2017.
Yeah. It was
that
great.
That was a great team, and it was really special to be in that one where we really put in a really good performance. I think in a place where generally in the past we haven't been successful on grayling, you know, and so I think we had Martin Droz.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
My fellow Tasmanian.
Yeah, already. Yeah, he's Tassie too. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was our guide there, and I think as a team, his tuition, and you know, we had some really great anglers in that team as well. You know, Christopher Bassano and Tom.
He finished, I think,
sixth. I think he was.
Fifth or
he had a great result.
Yeah.
So
Tom Jarman,
you know what he's like, what he's done since, and you know, so we had a strong team, and Mark Bully as well had a pretty good result in that comp. So,
and also Garth was there.
Garth Jackson was our manager there,
and Craig.
And Craig Coltman.
So I enjoyed this team very much because you are always very friendly. I mean Aussies, and Aussies, and it was there was some moment that there is Martin, part of your team, but Martin, I have to say, even in 2018 on Italy, he's not really open to us. so I mean he is really loyal.
Yes.
To his new country.
Yes.
He
was great for us, and so that was a special one as well, I think, for me. And then of course here in Tasmania, when it was my home.
But I mean, sorry, maybe it's a little bit bitter pill, but I think that you are thinking about a higher position in Tasmania. When you can finish a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. it was special to have it here in my home country, but we were pretty gutted as a team in the end. That it was one day basically. We just had one bad day, and that cost us as a team.
And you finished in Tasmania?
Sorry?
Oh, you finished on which place do you finish in this World Champ?
Seventh as a team.
Seventh.
Yeah. Seventh as a team, and I finished 12th individually.
Close.
But like, I led for the first 3 days, so it was, for me individually, it was pretty gutting because as a team, it was just one day, and it was, for me individually, it was that day that we had the
You're
problem.
losing.
So it was really gutting that happened, and then we finished strong on the last session again. So if we had just held that, and I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened on that one day, but everyone just failed on that one day, and we went from first place to like ninth in one day. Unbelievable.
But I know the weather condition were horrible.
It was,
and also not common in this year's time.
No, so, and that did hurt us. No excuses. Like at the end of the day, we should have.
It was for everybody the same.
It was for everyone the same, but many of our lakes, the weather was so atrocious that it was like fishing a different lake. You know, we'd put a lot of work in on places like Woods Lake and Penstock and those sort of places where, or for me personally, when I went to Woods Lake, it was like fishing a different lake. It was like this. It was just, we'd put so much work in, and we were so confident, and we had the places where we wanted to fish. And we couldn't even get to the places where we wanted to fish because it was so rough. They actually closed half the lake. So for us, it was just almost start again. And it just, for me personally, it really threw me that I had, you know, the techniques that we were using weren't working for me, and it was and I couldn't go to the places that I wanted to go, and it just threw me through my mind, and I didn't adapt. I didn't change well enough to end up with a fish because people caught fish and I didn't get enough. So that's what hurt me in the end.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, I think, for home competitors when change conditions, because you are prepared for same condition as usual.
Yes.
So it's more tougher than other competitors.
Yeah. It's and I had a lot of pressure. Like I was leading my home world championship. I was in first place come that session, and I think the pressure just built up as well. And so you've got this pressure to try and stay where you are and stay winning. And then when things don't quite go perfect for you, you make silly decisions. You do silly things, you know. And that's, I think, what happened to me. I think the pressure built up. Yeah.
So, but I don't think that it was the reason that you quit competition.
No, it's not the reason I quit.
Yeah, and you quit because you want to build a new shack.
I'm building a new shack. I'm nearly finished.
But shack. When somebody said me the word shack, I imagine this one. But this, what you build up there, it's a wonderful house, and you build it with your own hands, so it's fantastic.
Well, yeah, I'm a builder by. I'm a builder by trade, and that's what I do. But I also, you know, I sort of manage building these days, so I don't get on the tools too often. But it's nice to actually jump on the tools and build something for myself again like this. And it's been like I've had this little old shack that I'm sitting in here for 10 years, and I always had a dream to build a new shack up behind it and really capture the view where I am. And so that was my dream, and my wife is pretty happy that I'm doing it, and she always wanted it to happen as well. So yeah, it's special. I've nearly got it ready. We're nearly ready to move into it. So it's good. But that's not the reason I stopped competition fishing. I think Tassie was going to be either my last or my second last, and then when COVID came, so I did plan to go to Finland the next year. I did plan to go and fish that. I wanted to get fish 12 worlds and then finish. So I was in that team. I planned to go, and then it didn't happen because of COVID. And for me, it was like, I think I just got to a stage where I had enough. I'm just tired from it. I'd spent, you know, over 20 years competing, and I loved every minute of it. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it, and I'd still compete now if I could just go to the Worlds, you know, all the time, rather than do all the other stuff and do all the practice that you need to keep to it. Because I absolutely loved fishing the World Championship. I just absolutely loved it. I loved meeting, you know, the people from year to year and catching up with people like yourself and many other friends that I've made from it. And I love the competition of the World Championship, like the absolute fishing against the absolute best. But I think the state level competitions and the nationals and things like that started to wear on me, and the time that I had to commit to not just having pleasure fishing, but practicing all the time rather than just fishing. And I think if you can't commit to that in a big way, you're really you're kidding yourself. You're not going to succeed. And so I felt in my competition career, if you like, I gave it everything I could give it, and I think I got close. I got close to being up in that top tier for the last 5 World Championships I fished. You know, I finished in the top 20 individually, so it was like I'm nearly there, but I couldn't commit enough time and enough, I guess, of my life. To try and go to that next level. And I think it's a huge commitment. If you really want to get to that next level, I think you almost got to make it your life or your career in some way, because, you know, I'm a builder. So I go to work every day and I build. I got to a stage where it's like I just can't keep committing this for my family
and also I mean, in comparison with Czech country, Australia is huge.
It is huge,
and it took so long time to get somewhere. And if you travel for just leisure fishing 3 hours, and for competitions hours, and from Tassie you have to fly to Victoria.
Exactly.
So it's
and it can
time,
be quite
consuming.
It's costly. It adds up, you know, when it costs you to travel to fish, you know, our nationals on the mainland and even around the state, you know, it builds up. Not the cost wasn't a major issue. It's more just it's just that time, you know, and making it happen and continuing to try and make a team, the next team, so you can get our ranking points in the way that the teams are done. So you need to be fishing state comps so you can do it. And,
And what about next level? To be a coach, to be a trainer, to be a captain? Are you thinking about it?
Look, I'm not sure at this stage. I haven't thought about it a lot. I would like to give something back.
Yeah, sure.
I think, and I think I should give something back, because it's given me a lot over the years with fishing. At the moment, I've had to, because I've been so busy building this shack and everything else that's going on, pull away from it. But I'm not saying that I won't go back and fish some local comps again, and then try and get involved in some way. Because, you know, I keep an eye on things. I keep an eye on the competition scene here in Australia. I like to keep up with what's going on, and it's pretty exciting seeing some of the younger guys starting to come through. That's the thing that I think for myself is that's what excites me, because, and I wish there were a lot more young guys coming through when I was competing, because that was the thing that we lacked as a team. I think, you know, we had Tom Jarman came along later in my career there fishing, and if we had a few more Toms coming through, I think we would have been right up there. And
he was also last year very close.
Very, very close, very close. Yeah, but the thing is, I actually feel that there is a couple of guys like that coming through at the moment in our scene, and I'm keeping an eye on them. And like the team that's about to go away to France is going to be a pretty young team by the look of things, and a couple of new faces there. So it's exciting to see that, and I'd love to be able to give something back in the future. So hopefully in the next few years, I'll consider coming back in some capacity. But I think my international competing and stuff, I think I'm done with that.
Okay, I understand. So I have another questions here. What about kind of model role which you have during your fly fishing? Do you have some men who were as a role model, or how call it in English?
Yeah, role model. Yeah. Absolutely. I had some.
You said two people are leading you. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I had some really special people that you know. So of course Jim was absolutely my biggest influence.
Okay.
You know, he really taught me so much, and he was such a mentor to me as a fisherman through those early years. He wasn't a great competition angler, Jim. He got into like he was 50 years old when really he started fishing his first nationals, and so he came in very late in life, and he said to me many times, you know, I've got into this too late in life, you know, and he was right, but we worked on a lot of fishing stuff together. But as a fisherman here in Tasmania, there was no one, in my opinion, there was no one that got near him. He was an unbelievable angler, and his local knowledge here in Tasmania and was amazing. And I rate him as probably the best angler I've ever met in my life. You know, certainly here in Tasmania as one of the very, very best. There's only one other person that I'll tell you about him in a minute. But so he was probably my biggest mentor. But then there's a couple of people that I see as great friends, but also great anglers that I work with a lot. And one of them is Joe Riley, and you may or may not remember Joe. Joe Riley, I don't know whether you've met him. So I fished with Joe Riley for many, many years, and he was in a lot of world teams with myself. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And I see him as one of our great anglers for Australia. He developed a lot of stuff, techniques and flies and things like that throughout. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, he was a great friend and someone that I loved being in a team with through those years. And then in more recent times, I rate Christopher Bassano as a massive influence on me. Yeah, because
because he's so loved and he talks so much.
He talks a lot. Yeah.
Yesterday we met him during dinner. It was a great time. Mm-hmm. But when I speak with you, when I speak with Peter or Martin, anyway, Martin is Czech and Peter also. Yeah. But you are so nice that you speak that I can understand. But with Christopher, is so that he's so fast, so I catch every second word. But he's nice also.
Yeah, and look, he was a big influence certainly in that the later comps that I fished with him in the Worlds, and I rate him with Jim as an angler, certainly in Tasmania. His knowledge is incredible.
And he's also native Tassie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, yeah, sort of. He came from South Africa originally, but he's basically lived in Tasmania since he was like 9 or 10, something like that. So he's grown up here.
Okay.
And but you know, as a guide in Tasmania, he had so much knowledge, and he's just passion for fishing, full stop. And then when he got into the competition side of things, so he decided to start competition fishing. He gave me such motivation because I was at a stage probably before he came along where I'd just about had enough. Mm-hmm. But when he came on the scene, he motivated me to want to continue.
Yeah.
And I think just because I could see this guy's really good and I want to be in a team with him, and you know, he talked at all he talked about. You know, he was just that was all he was focused on. So he gave me that motivation, and we just worked together a lot. We're always talking about this and that, and I think he was a big part of why our team, through that period of 10 years, if you like, from say 2013 in Norway through to, well, not even 10 years, 6 or 7 years till
He's going up.
Tasmania here, we were going up and up and up. And I think he was a big part of that. He brought a lot to the team. He brought people like Martin and Jan Cleary and Yannick Riviere from France. You know, he was the guy that brought these great anglers to Tasmania to do some tuition with us, and it was him that did that. No one else. You know, like he had that that insight, that view that these people are going to be able to help us, and it definitely did. And so, yeah, he was a big influence through those years and really kept me going. And
Super.
So, yeah.
Okay, question about equipment. If you are going to fish rivers, I mean, it depends where, but what do you like the most? Which weight of rod, which type of rod?
It's funny how things have changed over the years from where I was, you know, back 20 or 30 years ago fishing to what the gear that I use now. I remember the first rod that I used when I went to Poland in 2008. I was fishing with a 5-weight, 10-foot, you know, in the rivers over there, nymphing. And now we're using, you know, my favourite rod. I'm a Hannock man. I'm very much a Hannock man when it comes to river.
Franta likes it.
Yeah, Franta, yeah. But look, I love Hannock gear, and over the last few years, I have a number of their rods. My favourite rod is a 2-weight super light, 9'9" super light, 2-weight, but also the 9'6" 3-weight super light as well. I love that as a nymphing dry fly type rod, but certainly for a nymphing rod, it's that 2-weight one that I love. It's not for New Zealand. It's a little bit light for New Zealand, but for here in Tassie, I think it suits a lot of our streams. We have some better fish in some of our rivers, but it handles those better fish well enough. The majority of our river fishing is, you know, for fish up around that 25 to 35, 40 centimetres, and it handles them really, really well. I like light. I like a light rod. I don't like a heavy rod. I always try and go a light reel as well. So, you know, I find that if rods are too heavy, I seem to struggle with that just in my body and my arms and stuff. So I like to keep it all nice and light as best I can.
And for lakes?
For lakes, 6, 7. I always used to be sort of a 5 or 6 weight rod man, but now I have a 6 weight rod, and I still use, believe it or not, my favourite rod is a Sage XP, which is a very old, that's an old rod.
Yeah, XP I have.
Yeah, it goes way back. I've had it for 20 years, this rod, but it's just a beautiful dry fly rod. As far as a dry fly rod, I love that rod. It's soft enough to be a good dry fly rod, so when you're striking on fish, you're not breaking them. I just find it a lovely rod, but it's got enough power if you need to cast long distances as well. And I also use like a Hardy rod for my more wet fly type 10-foot. But I'm a big 10-foot man. I love 10-foot rods in general, whether that be certainly on lakes, definitely I like to use 10-foot rods, and that's pretty much for everything, whether it be off the shore or out in a boat. I'm usually 10-foot. Yeah.
What about tying? How often are you tying?
Not much at the moment, I tell you. I used to tie a lot, and I plan to start tying a lot again when I can just get my life under control with how busy I am. But
not so often.
Not so often now. No, but as necessary. Really, I've always been. You know, I tie as necessary. It's not something that I love to do. Like I'm not someone that just loves jumping down the vise and tying hours. I tie flies so that to use for fishing. I'd rather go fishing than sit and tie flies. But when I'm in the mood, and you know, if I'm fishing for a comp in the World Championships and stuff, sitting around the table with the other guys tying flies, I loved it. You know, that's great.
But your favorite material? Fly
tying material?
Yep.
I think CDC. It's become my favourite fly tying material over years. You know, it's interesting from how it's developed, I think, into different flies over the year that I've seen. You know, those early years when I I struck it, in a lot of. It wasn't something that was ever used here in Tasmania. Very, very few flies you ever saw with CDC, and I started to find it when I went to Europe in these early World Championships, and saw it in places like Poland and France, the way they use CDC. So I think, and then to see it develop into other flies where it's being used, as hackles in nymphs and things like your fly.
Yeah, my rockerka.
Your rockerka, the way that's used in that.
I mean, if you have only CDC, you can tie so many flies.
Exactly right. And I just
CDC and Hertha, that's it.
So I find myself using that on so many flies now.
Yeah.
And I'd say my favourite dry flies are tied with that now, whereas once upon a time that wasn't the case.
Common question when I ask all the time, are you that kind of fly fisherman, that they are filling the boxes and another boxes with new type of flies, or do you prefer more presentation above different kind of flies? If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do. I'm not. You have these people that are always trying to find the perfect fly. Develop
secret fly, perfect fly.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say I'm that person. I do find myself doing little tweaks on original pat. Just putting my own little flair on things and
change it.
Christopher or Tom will get a laugh out of that, because they always used to stir me up about, oh yeah, Staggy's changed. Staggy's turned. You just couldn't tie the original, could you? You had to do that little thing, So I'm always renowned for doing a little tweak to something. But to be honest, these days I'm very much quite standard flies, and a group of half a dozen flies I find myself continually always fishing, and I think, look, to be honest, the majority of decent anglers out there will say that. I think that's the case. 3 or 4 nymphs that you always fish, and I have probably very similar nymphs for the last 10 years. Just standard type nymphs, pheasant tails.
So it's more about presentation.
I think it's definitely more about presentation. I think there's certainly some flies that are great flies, and that I wouldn't be without. But I think it all comes down to presentation and who's on the end of that rod.
So, and a little bit another team, while fly tying is kind of art, and you are also artist. You are painter.
Yeah.
So actually, you have Instagram account. Can you tell us the nick? The nick of the Instagram, because you present your work there on Instagram.
Oh yeah, on my Instagram page is, what is it, Stagg Fly Art. So
Stagg Fly Art, but they are mainly paintings, not fly.
No. So when I started it, it was before I started the art side of things, really.
So anyway,
there's a bit of fly fishing there, but there's a lot of art.
From where it came, your painting?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, and people shake their head a little bit, and I shake my head a little bit with it as well, because
this is amazing.
It sort of came from nowhere.
So no tradition in the family or something?
No. So I've always been able to draw. So like I was always a reasonable person that could draw and paint a little bit through school. Never ever did anything with it. But I've always loved art, and I've always liked seeing art in fishing, in books and stuff like that. When I always enjoyed that side of things when I saw that. But yeah, I guess when my son was born, I found myself drawing pictures for him, of animals and just things like that. And then people were saying, "Oh, you're so good at drawing," like people would be saying stuff like that. And I thought I might try to do a bit of painting. And I started playing about with some watercolors, and of course I love fishing, so I was painting fish and flies and stuff with watercolors, and I really enjoyed it, and found that I'm not too bad at this. I go okay, and I just started to work better on learning how to do it, techniques, how to mix paints, how to do these different.
And from where you learn it?
Yeah, from where? Mainly YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
YouTube, yeah, mainly
No
YouTube.
VHC.
No,
VHS.
nothing too fancy. Mainly YouTube and certain ones I'd follow, and then they do some tutorials and stuff like that. So there's certain ones that, and then I started to work. I thought I started to get bigger and started to do some of these others, and wildlife's always fascinated me. You know, big cats and bears and things like that. I absolutely love, and so I started to work on a couple of those type of things, but on some bigger canvases using acrylic paints, because I found acrylic. I'm very detailed in the way that I paint, so I like to use a lot of detail. I like to make it look lifelike, and so I just started doing that, and it's gone from there really, and I really enjoy it. But once again, at the moment, I'm not doing a lot of it because I've just been so busy and focused with my work and building this house up the back there. So I'm really looking forward to having all that finished and getting back into my fishing and doing some more painting. Yeah.
Do you have some painting of devil?
No, I haven't.
You have to,
but I will have to. Yeah,
Okay.
After seeing your photo, you'll have to give me the reference photo to paint from, because
Definitely
you took a couple of great photos.
Yeah, devils. Anyway, back to fly fishing. So what about fishing for pleasure? Because you're a stuff competition.
Yep.
And Tassie is great for this polarized fishing, for lakes.
Yep.
It's a bit tough here, as we already talked about.
Not always.
Yeah, and I mean, which countries do you want to travel if you want to enjoy just leisure fishing?
Leisure fishing. Obviously, there's a place across the Tasman there at New Zealand, which is.
Sure. And have you been there?
Yes, I've been to New Zealand quite a few times. Just amazing place to fish.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty fortunate that it's so close, because in my opinion, it's the best fishing in the world.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I mean, I think here in Tasmania we have world-class fishing. We have some fishing here in Tasmania that's as good as anything in the world. You know, at times. New Zealand, it's just like I've just had some great experiences there, and it's the size of the fish and these beautiful rivers, and you know, like it's pretty special. So I do want to be able to spend more time over there, you know, and make it an annual trip over there, or one or two times a year as I get my time freed up. So I'm really looking forward to getting some time and going over there with some friends and just having some great fishing.
Okay.
And experience some of the places that I haven't been to and checking it out. I want to fish more here in my home and get back to the places where I used to go.
Yeah.
And have some of the fishing that I used to experience a lot of. So walking into the Western Lakes, you know, I hope my son takes an interest and I can take him in there and we do some backpacking and that sort of stuff again. I really want to do that.
Yeah, but backpacking here is totally different, like backpacking in New Zealand, because there is no dangerous animal.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah, you got to watch the snakes here. But no, that's the sort of thing I want to do again. And you know, I used to do a lot of early morning fishing on places like D Lagoon and out here on Great Lake and stuff like that. I love that when it's calm and there's what we call wind lanes, you know, slicks where the food gathers in it, and get back to doing some of that sort of stuff again, which I'm looking forward to. As far as travelling goes, like I do love travelling, and that's one thing that, you know, I love with the World Championships, being able to travel to some of these destinations was brilliant. And one place that I've already mentioned it, I'd love to go back to the Sand River in Poland and actually just pleasure fish that at the right time of the year, which I think is October, something like that.
Yeah, autumn.
Yeah, and I love catching grayling, which we don't have here, sadly. So I absolutely love catching grayling, especially on dry fly. So I'd love to go back there and just have some days on a place like that. But you know, there's other places, of course, in Europe. America. I'd love to go to America. Again, I went to America in 2016, Colorado, for the Worlds there, and
Did you enjoy it?
I did. I loved it. Yeah, it was great. and I'd love to travel up through the Rockies, you know, and fish all the way up through that. So I think that'll be an amazing trip, you know, travel from somewhere like Colorado right up through the Rockies up into Wyoming and those sort of places. So that'll be amazing.
Montana, Wyoming.
Wyoming, Idaho, those sort of places. So
Jackson Fork.
yeah.
Okay, I have here fast questions
Yep.
about flies. Your favorite dry fly? Fast.
Plume tip, CDC.
Okay, your favorite wet fly? Fast.
A Shrek, woolly bugger.
Yes, Shrek. The same answer was by Tom. Your favorite nymph?
My favourite nymph is an orange tag.
Your favorite streamer?
Well, my favourite streamer,
Against
just
Shrek.
a black and red or Shrek or something like that. Yeah.
Your favorite style? Fishing style?
It would have to be dry fly. Yeah, definitely dry fly.
Your favorite water? River and lake? Around the world, around Tassie?
Okay, my favourite lake is Dee Lagoon.
Okay.
Dee Lagoon here in Tasmania is by my favourite, and I say that because it's a really special place for me because I used to fish there with Jim, who was my mentor, and so I see that as a really special place when I fish, and it's also the type of fishing there that I love, wind lane fishing and that. So Dee Lagoon and river,
Sun.
the San River, definitely. San River. San River would be one, but here in Tasmania would be the Meander because it's where I grew up, and that's a special river to me as well.
And we are going there.
We're going there. Yeah.
A few minutes
Yep.
after. And your favorite competition?
Ever that I've fished in, or
No, you like to go there again or ever, or just one? It depends on you.
Oh, that's a difficult one. That's really difficult. I think.
But fast.
Yeah, I know. Poland.
Poland.
Yeah.
The first one or second one?
Second one.
Second one.
Yeah.
You finished and did 8th?
No, 11th or
11th.
10th or 11th or something. Yeah.
And you said the last session was muddy.
Yes.
And you caught 4 chops.
4 big chub on dry fly.
And they didn't
And
count.
they didn't count.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, another question. Unforgettable fish.
Unforgettable fish. Ooh. Okay. It
Just
was
one.
A big rainbow on the Rukatori River in New Zealand.
Ruakaturi River.
Yes.
Real favorite my
Yes.
river there. Near to Corrie Place.
Yes.
Okay, and a little bit story behind it.
And another one.
No!
No, I need to give you another one. And another fish is the fish that I caught on the Sound River in competition. That was the largest fish for the comp. So
For whole comp?
I caught a hootchen.
Hootchen?
A hootchen on the nymph on a 3-weight rod on the nymph, and it was 75 centimetre. 75 centimetre.
And does it count?
It counted, yeah. And that was a really special fish. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. In the first session.
For competition, it's really huge. I know that in Italy, 2011, were caught, I think, 89 marmorata
Yeah. Right.
during competition.
Yep.
I think guy from Belgium or Luxembourg, I don't know exactly, but it was really horrible, bad photo. So 75 is one of the biggest, I think.
Yeah.
3-weight rod.
3-weight rod.
I guess Hanak.
No, it wasn't actually. It was
Don't tell it.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. It was beforehand at time. Actually, it's going back.
No problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ask because everybody look at a competition angler as a role model, legend without mistakes.
Yes.
And I ask about fuck up. Did you do some fuck up?
Where do I start? Yeah. Where do I start? Just let me think here you've got me on the spot here.
Just the biggest one.
Yeah. Look, probably here in Tasmania, in that session in Tasmania, it was a series of mistakes that I made in that. Really, it was I dropped a couple of fish just because. Just silly fishing. It was just my state of mind, and I made bad decisions in it. So I just think I just
But this kind of fuck up, we have all competitors.
Yes.
I mean, kind of fuck up that you lost boots and you forget something on the hotel and you broke your 2 rods because you closed the doors, car doors. Kind of these fuck
that
ups.
type of thing. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Not competition fuck ups.
Yeah. Oh, gee, I'm just trying to think on that. There's many of them, but
Give me just one.
it's just trying to. Okay. Line in the motor. So.
It's a nice one.
Yeah, I've done that a few times in competition. So
You know how to do it, yeah?
yeah, where you're mucking around and your line's going around the back of the boat. They start the motor. This happened here in Tasmania, actually, in the World Championships here, in one of the sessions. My line went round the back of the boat. The controller pulled the thing, went next thing, my whole line's chopped in half.
Good. Nice one.
So
Nice
that's happened. Yeah.
Okay, another question is if you have some tips, some recommendation for rookies.
For what, sorry?
Rookies.
Oh, yes.
For newbies.
For beginners.
For
yes.
beginners.
Yep.
I mean, maybe for beginners in fly fishing competition.
Mm-hmm.
Some recommendation. What they should do.
Find someone that will help them.
Good
I think
one,
have
yeah.
a mentor, and then work with someone on your technique. Don't try and think that you can do things on your own all the time, and become a better angler just by being by not working with people and learning from them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that you can do is to ask questions, to talk with anyone and everyone. Don't just, if you want to really get as much as you can out of fishing, there's people that can teach you stuff. It doesn't matter who they are, how experienced they are, they can show you and teach you stuff that you'll pick up things from them. And so be willing to talk and give people your time and actually, but then I think work with particular people that you get on well with and really work on your techniques together and don't try and do it all on your own, because you'll learn so much more if you can find that person that's more experienced. Good. And that can help you along quickly. You'll speed that whole learning experience up quicker. Yeah.
So find mentor.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
So, and another question. Do you have, I don't know how to call it exactly in English, do you have some patent, your invention on a vest which you use? For example, we have 2 magnets on the nets. Mm-hmm. And on the head of the nets, we have it not symmetrical. We have the side, so you can handle, touch really easily.
Yes.
And second magnet is that we are using on the vest here. If you catch the small fish in low water.
Yeah.
So just give you example what kind of innovation. I mean, do you have such a innovation?
Not really. I've had a few things over the years which I've worked, that we've tried to develop.
Okay.
I remember making, one of the early days, and you probably see a few of them now for tippets, where the tippet dispenser type thing where you have all your different tippets on a thing where you pull the line out. And I remember making this one up that actually stuck with Velcro. So I made up this pad where you had Velcro and I stuck it on my chest here, and it had like all my tippets.
Yeah, now they're using Sims, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's your innovation. Great.
Yeah, I should have got patented, shouldn't I? But it had like this Velcro thing, and it had like 5 or 6 on a piece, and you stuck it on my vest, and I could just and it worked quite well. I don't use it anymore. I just find that I put it in my pockets and stuff. But yeah, there's nothing in particular. I mean, there's been lots of things. It's funny, like over the years from your fishing, just the different tackle and little odds and ends that you end up using for different things as they develop. Some things are great. I've had the like different, with the belts, and this one that collects your line, the little clip where you put your line into and all this sort of stuff, and you think, oh, what a great idea, and then it's like, no, it's not that good.
I have so many
all those
like
types of things that you think are going to be great, and they're going to be the thing that, but yeah, a lot of them end up just going in a box or a drawer somewhere and never being used again.
Okay. Staggy, that's it.
That's it.
We can go
We
fishing.
can go fishing now. Oh,
So
wow.
thank you for your time.
Absolute pleasure.
It was great.
Yeah.
I have great time in Tasmania. Thank you that you are taking care about me.
It's been so good to see you here, and you'll be coming again. And next time you come, you're going to be staying up top in that shack. with
No,
me.
check it. This is marvelous house.
Yeah. And
Stagg.
so, yeah,
Thank you very much.
pleasure.
So let's go fishing.
Let's go.